that I've even shared as well, to be frank, is a concern about, in part because of the co-optation and the appropriation, that a more clear ideological structuring might be of some value here. But how do you respond to those kinds of, again, loving criticisms?
I think that the criticism is helpful. I also think that it might. I think of a lot of things. The first thing I think is that we actually do have an ideological frame. Myself and Alicia in particular are trained organizers. We are trained Marxists. We are super versed on sort of ideological theories. And I think that what we really try to do is build a movement that could be utilized by many, many Black
critique, though, from the left that would say, if you are a trained Marxist, if we're talking about a certain kind of radical politic, that extravagant homes of any sort or multiple properties of any sort is itself contradictory to the ideology that you hold. And so it's not about having money per se, but that it's about, or about property per se, but it's about there being a potential contradiction between your expressed politics and your lived practice.
Sure. And I think that is a critique that is wanting. And I say that because the way that I live my life is in direct support to Black people, including my Black family members, first and foremost. And for so many Black folks who are able to invest in themselves and their community, they choose to invest in their family. And that's what I've chosen to do. I have a child, I have a brother that has severe mental illness that I take care of. I support my mother, and I support many other family members of mine. And so I see my money as not my own. I see it as my family's money.
Well, everybody who works for their family. They don't really work for themselves. So that doesn't really resonate with most people. That's what, if you ask any capitalist, why do you work for 12 hours a day? They're not going to say for extravagant homes. They're going to say, well, I got kids. They're going to say, I'm married, got a family. I want to get out of the hood. I want to get out of this place, get out of that place. But they call you evil when you do that. You're evil. You're getting involved in capitalists. You're a capitalist pig. You're a capitalist pig when you do it. It's okay when we do it. You're a capitalist pig when you do it. And that's really, like, I don't even want to dwell on that. You know, her being a trained Marxist and, you know, then cashing in and buying. Look, we're going to talk about the houses for sure. But we're not going to talk about her, you know, her excuse. It's no different from anybody. The fact that she wearing these ideological blinders that prevent her from seeing how, you know, how what she's saying applies to everybody. That's that's some bullshit, okay? We know she's talking bullshit. But let's talk about these houses and everything first. And we're also going to talk about the families of Tamir Rice, Breonna Taylor, and Michael Brown, who talks about they've been screwed by Black Lives Matter. And we're going to talk about Tamika Mallory, who's the Women's March, also does some Black Lives Matter stuff. She also does Cadillac commercials. So let's get into it. All right, welcome to Policy Matters with your boy MagMongoSlade. We're going to talk today about Black Lives Matter founder Patrisse Cullors, her multi-million-dollar real estate ventures, which is very strange for a goddamn Marxist. Now, we're going to listen to what she has to say about this as well, because she has been under attack. Of course, she was under attack from people who support her. Therefore, she gets to respond. It's only to the people who have been supporting her throughout this time. Those people she will respond to. To everybody else, well, it's just, you're just trying to destroy her. But first, let's talk about some people who have been calling her out. Black Lives Matter has always enjoyed very favorable media from, different organizations following them around, basically talking about how great they are and how smart they are and everything. We have, in recent weeks, So many people coming out saying that Black Lives Matter is full of shit. So let's talk about one of them. One of them is named Tamika Palmer. She is, I believe, the mother of Tamir Rice. No, she's the mother of Breonna Taylor, the young lady who was shot in her home by the police. She posted on Facebook. I think it's crazy when people say that they've been here since day one. Let me be clear. Christopher 2X, the Montgomery family, is one of the only day ones, not to mention Breonna's friends and family, but they've never needed recognition immediately following is until freedom. I have never personally dealt with Black Lives Matter Louisville and personally have found them to be fraud. Attica Scott, another fraud. Then there's the people at Injustice Square, aka Breeway, who has been 100 and held it down. And that doesn't go to say anyone else out there, but they know who they are and never needed recognition. I can walk in a room full of people who claim to be here for Breonna's family, who don't even know who I am. I've watched y'all raise money on behalf of Breonna's family, and who has never done a damn thing for us, nor have we needed it or asked. So talk about fraud. It's amazing how many people have lost focus. I'm going to say this before I go. I'm so sick of some of y'all, and I was last anybody who needs it. I'm with this shit. Enough is enough. That is the mother of Breonna Taylor. And of course, Black Lives Matter went and, took up a whole lot of money for Breonna Taylor. She was a very profitable venture for Black Lives Matter. That was a very profitable venture, that Breonna Taylor thing. So now let's move over to Michael Brown's father. Hands up, don't shoot Mike Brown. Michael Brown's father and Ferguson activists want a chunk of the $90 million that Black Lives Matter raised during the racial reckoning of 2020. So, the father of Michael Brown Jr. and other activists from Ferguson, Missouri are requesting $20 million from Black Lives Matter, the New York Post reported. The man came from an exclusive report from the Associated Press that revealed Black Lives Matter Global Network raised more than $90 million in 2020. Black Lives Matter released its 2020 impact report, which showed that the organization granted $21.7 million to multiple Black local organizations and Black Lives Matter chapters. But activists are calling for more assistance and accountability. Quote, "We are asking that Black Lives Matter leadership funds $20 million to Ferguson organizers, organizations, and community foundations to do the work," International Black Freedom Alliance's co-founder Tori Russell said in a video with Michael Brown Sr. "We're not begging for a handout. We're coming for what we deserve." So then they're going to start talking about Michael Brown Jr., hands up, don't shoot. In the video, Russell said they wanted to, quote, "to hold Black Lives Matter accountable," and calling on them for assistance for those on the front lines of Ferguson. What kind of movement are we building where we're saying Black Lives Matter, but the freedom fighters and the families are being left behind? International Black Freedom Alliance's co-founder Tori Russell said in the video with Michael Brown Sr. Where is our restitution? Where is our organizing? Where is our building of a movement? Where is all this money going? Brown Sr. said in the International Black Freedom Alliance press release. Who are they giving it to, and what are they doing with it? So that's two. Breonna Taylor, very, very profitable venture. They made a lot of money off Breonna Taylor. They made a lot of money off Mike Brown too. But there was another one. There was Samara Rice, the mother of Tamir Rice, the young boy who was shot by police. Black Lives Matter made a lot of money off him too. Let's see. This is an official statement from Samara Rice, mother of Tamir Rice, and Lisa Simpson, mother of Richard Reicher. Tamika D. Mallory, Sean King, Benjamin Crump, Lee Merritt, Patrisse Cullors, Melina Abdullah, and the Black Lives Matter Global Network need to step down, step back, and stop monopolizing and capitalizing our fight for justice and human rights. We never hired them to be representatives in the fight for justice for our dead loved ones murdered by the police. The activists, quote unquote, have events in our cities and have not given us anything substantial for using our loved ones' images and names on their flyers. The attorneys in our fight are also misleading the impacted families. In the case of Tamir Rice, it was even questionable as to whether Benjamin Crump knew the laws in depth. In the state of Ohio, I fired him 6 to 8 months into Tamir Rice's case. We don't want or need y'all parading in the streets, accumulating donations, platforms, movie deals, etc. off the death of our loved ones. While the families and communities are left clueless and broken, don't say our loved ones' names, period. That's our truth. Black Lives Matter. And most of the smart people were talking about Black Lives Matter being shit a long time ago. But now you have the actual parents and families of people who Black Lives Matter were taking advantage of complaining, saying, don't do it. Stop doing this. And then not too long afterwards, we find out Patrisse Cullors is buying real estate. Trained Marxist Patrisse Cullors is buying real estate. Oh boy. Inside Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Khan-Cullors' $1 million real estate buying binge. She's one of the founders of Black Lives Matter. April the 10th, 2021, from the New York Post. As protests broke down across the country in the name of Black Lives Matter, the group's co-founder went on a real estate buying binge, snagging 4 high-end homes for $3.2 million in the U.S. alone, according to property records. Patrisse Khan-Cullors, 37, also eyed property in the Bahamas at an ultra-exclusive resort where Justin Timberlake and Tiger Woods both have homes, the Post has learned. Luxury apartments and townhouses at the beachfront Albany Resort outside Nassau are priced between $5 million and $20 million, according to a local agent. The self-described Marxist last month purchased a $1.4 million home on a secluded road a drive from Malibu in Los Angeles, according to a report. The 22,370-foot property features, quote, soaring ceilings, skylights, and plenty of windows with canyon views. Well, I'll be damned. She's got good taste. The Topanga Canyon homestead, which includes 2 houses on a quarter acre, is just one of 3 homes Khan-Cullors owns in the Los Angeles area, public records show. Some fellow activists were taken aback by the real estate revelations. Hawk Newsom, that's a hell of a name, doesn't sound like a real name, the head of Black Lives Matter Greater New York City, which is not affiliated with Khan-Cullors Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation. Notice how that works, right? There's 100 different types of Black Lives Matter. That's how you know this shit is not real, right? There's no unified voice. There's no unified idea. It's just different people calling themselves Black Lives Matter. And then the money disappears. They collect all this money, all this bail fund money, all of this type of stuff, and then the money vanishes. Right? It just vanishes. But Hawk Newsom, the head of Black Lives Matter Greater New York City, which is not affiliated with Khan-Cullors Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, called for, quote, an independent investigation to find out how the global network spends its money. Quote, if you go around calling yourself a socialist, you have to ask how much of her own personal money is going to charitable causes, he said. It's really sad because it makes people doubt the validity of the network and overlook the fact that it's the people that carry this movement. It's also the people who steal from the movement and people who are manipulating other people who rob the other people in this movement. We're going to also talk about, I believe it was Tamika Mallory, who got a sponsorship from I believe it was Cadillac. Let me check that. Yes, it was Tamika Mallory who was selling Cadillacs. So you have Patrisse Khan-Cullors, who is buying incredible amounts of real estate. Now the people have said, well, she's an author and she has other jobs. Okay. And Tamika Mallory is shilling for Cadillac. She's a Cadillac. Doing Cadillac commercials. These are your activists. This is your activist class. They're cashing in on being activists, on forming Black Lives Matter. These women are making bank. 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 They're making it. And they're spending it. I mean, shit, it is what it is. And see, last year, go back to the New York Post, Khan-Cullors and spouse Janiyah Khan ventured to Georgia to acquire a 4th home, a, quote, custom ranch on 3.2 rural acres in Conyers, featuring a private airplane hangar with a studio apartment above it, and the use of 2,500 feet paved grass community runway that can accommodate small airplanes. Wow. Patrisse Khan-Cullors is married to Black Lives Matter Canada co-founder Janaya Khan. Interesting. The 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, about 30 minutes from Atlanta, has an indoor swimming pool and a separate RV shop. She's living like a rapper. This girl got a rapper house. She's got a movie star house. Speaking of movies, there was also a Black Lives Matter young lady who just got a deal to make movies. Oh no, that was also Black Lives Matter Patrisse Cullors, yes. Black Lives Matter founder Patrisse Cullors lands Warner Brothers TV production deal. So, I mean, Cadillac, Warner Brothers, I mean, how anti-establishment can you be? These people are making so much money. So much money. They're lending their face and name and credibility to corporations. Trained Marxists indeed. Trained Marxists indeed. These people, man. These people. They're making that bank. Like I said before, they're making that bank, man. And they're just what can you do? What you gonna do? That's my question. What are you gonna do? Everybody who's gonna listen to this video, most of the people who are gonna listen to this video, are already gonna be anti-Black Lives Matter. You know, they're already anti. What about the people who are pro? People who are gonna try to defend this? Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Let's go back to Patrisse Khan-Cullors spending so much money. So she getting money from Warner Brothers at least. She's going to be making movies. Excuse me. Excuse me. They keep talking about how lavish her house is. In October, the activist signed a multi-platform deal with Warner Brothers Television Group to produce content for, quote, Black voices who have been historically marginalized. It is not known how much Khan-Cullors received in compensation for either deal. But she also do. She said she also, what else did she do? I don't remember. I don't see her here. Khan-Cullors began buying her buying spree in LA in 2016. A few years after the civil rights movement, she started from a hashtag Black Lives Matter with fellow activists Alicia Garza and Opal Tometi began to gain traction around the world. That year, she bought a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bathroom and a half in Inglewood for $510,000. It is now worth nearly $800,000. Khan-Cullors added her wife, the founder of Black Lives Matter in Canada, to the deed in a family trust last year. The couple married in 2016. 2 years later, in 2018, Khan-Cullors purchased a 4-bedroom home in South Los Angeles, a multi-ethnic neighborhood. Khan-Cullors paid $590,000 for the 1,725-foot home, although the price has since climbed to $720,000. Here's the thing. I'm not going to read any more of this because it's not relevant. It's not relevant. So let's continue. Let's talk about this. So we've talked about Tamika Mallory and Patrisse Cullors both cashing in on their Black Lives Matter and turning it into money-making schemes. Look, what you have to realize, and I want you to realize this, and I want to be very clear. Patrisse Cullors and Tamika Mallory and others that have gotten rich off this kind of scheme, they're not the first ones. You can go back to Al Sharpton. You can go back to Jesse Jackson. Hell, you might even be able to go back to Martin Luther King. You can go back to, there has always been, quote unquote, civil rights leaders that have been on somebody's dole, getting paid from somebody, because activism does not pay. It's not a job, right? You're not trading goods and you're not trading services for goods or services for money. So you're trading something, right? That might be your credibility. That's the only way for you to make money. So you're trading your goods. Either you're trading goods. I trade you this book for money. I trade you this book for a book. I trade you this house for a house. That's how capitalism works. I trade you this cash that I have for a house. I trade you this cash that I have for a book. If I have neither cash nor items to sell, I have to find something to sell. So if I have credibility, If I have a name, I have a face, I have clout, and I can trade that, then I can do that. I can be Tamika Mallory and say, look, people know who I am. People trust me. People will believe that Cadillac is serious about Black Lives Matter if I endorse it. Cut the check. And then they do it. Here, sure, why not? Jesse Jackson been doing it for years. Alton Sharpton been doing it for years. Cut the check. They've been doing it to Ford, GM, Chrysler. These corporations, they can afford to pay these people to go away. Pay them to go away. There was some guys. As a matter of fact, let's talk about that. There were some guys in Louisville who were going around to local businesses asking them to sign contracts that would give them money. Let's talk about that while we're here in this subject. So here it was, August 2020. Let's see. Cuban community plans rally at Nulu restaurant in response to Black Lives Matter demands. Members of Louisville's Cuban community planned together Sunday in support of Nulu restaurant owner who says he was threatened by Black Lives Matter protesters during a recent demonstration. Fernando Martinez, a partner of the Ole Restaurant Group, was one of dozens of business owners in the downtown Louisville district who recently received a letter from protesters laying out demands that aim to improve diversity in the area, which is known for its locally owned shops and restaurants. Martinez has publicly denounced the demands on Facebook, calling them mafia tactics used to intimidate business owners. And on Thursday, a small group of protesters confronted him outside his newest restaurant. It's in Spanish, I don't understand it. On East Market Street. There comes a time in your life where you have to make a stand and you have to really prove your convictions and what you believe in, Martinez wrote on Facebook post. All good people need to denounce this. How can you justify injustice with more injustice? According to the press release, members of the Cubans community will meet outside Nulu restaurant at 4 p.m. Sunday to support the immigrant-owned business, which, quote, has been subject to vandalism and extortion in recent days. The release states that the restaurant was forced to close on July 24th during a demonstration that shut down East Market Street, at which several protesters presented Martinez with a list of demands and said he, quote, better put the letter on the door so your business is not fucked with. The restaurant remained closed the next 2 days because, quote, management and staff were concerned about safety. According to the press release, 30-plus staff members, mostly immigrants, were unable to earn a paycheck. On Thursday, a small group of protesters returned to the restaurant after seeing Martinez post about the demands on Facebook. While there, one protester smashed a flower pot outside the business, while the rest spoke with Martinez and other employees about why the demands are needed. The demands and an attached contract, which created by local organizers and activists, asked Nulu business owners to, quote, adequately represent black population of Louisville by having a minimum of 23% black staff, purchase a minimum of 23% inventory from black retailers, or making a recurring monthly donation of 1.5% of net sales to a black nonprofit organization, require diversity and inclusion training for all staff. Now, the reason why you would have diversity and inclusion training is because most of the people who run those diversity and inclusion training are black people. And display a visible sign that increases awareness and shows support for the reparations movement. Felix Crittenden, an activist who works with Black Lives Matter Louisville, said that the demands and related, quote, Nulu social justice, health and wellness ratings were not meant to be a threat, but were instead intended to start a conversation. It's always want to start a conversation. It's just a conversation. We're demanding money from you, but it's just a conversation. We're just trying to have, I'm sure Al Capone was just having a conversation with people. Nice business you got there. Be ashamed if something happened to it. Let's not read any more of this crap. But this is how they get paid. This is how activists make money. They stand out in front. They bring cameras. That's what Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton used to do. Their job is to bring public attention to things. So they're public, and again, if they cannot provide a good or service, then they are trading on their reputation, which is the only thing that they have. It's the only thing they have, right? So you can't provide anything to society, so you make threats to companies. and then you get paid. You make a big enough deal, you become a celebrity, you get paid. You get paid. Tamika Mallory, Patrisse Cullors, they getting paid. The families who lost a family member, lost a kid, a father, too bad. Get famous. You can make money too. So there it is, man. And it's not just them. It's all activists. I do not trust any activists. Activists are scum. All right. Anybody who listens to them, you're a liar. They're liars. They're manipulators. An activist is not a specialist. They very rarely know everything there is to know about a situation that they get involved in. Their job is to make the situation, to blow the situation up. Make it as big as possible. Get CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News involved. Get their face on the camera. Get TV time for them. Get the news talking to them. They become famous. And then they get to go around charging fees, speaking fees. That's another reason another way how they make money. So I'm not under any illusion that they're stealing money from Black Lives Matter. That's not what I'm saying. That might be the implication here, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they steal money from Black Lives Matter, but they certainly use Black Lives Matter to make money because they don't go speak for free. They want money. Pay them for their time. That's the service. When I say that they're trading in services or something like that, that's how they do it. They write books. Who knows if people even buy these books? But it doesn't matter. It's an opportunity to make money. It's an opportunity to trade on their reputation. Most of these people have no idea how anything works. They're an activist. They're not a statistician. They're not a mathematician. They don't actually build anything. That will require specialized knowledge. They don't have any specialized knowledge. They just know how to yell and how to get attention and how to drop sweet poems to get people's attention. That's their superpower. That's what they get paid to do. And then once they get big, they get in movies. Al Sharpton's been in movies. Jesse Jackson has been in movies. They get TV shows. Al Sharpton had a TV show. Jesse Jackson had a TV show. I mean, they're not economists. They don't know anything about the economy. They don't know anything about anything. That's not the point. It's not the point that they need to know. They don't. Their ignorance pays them very well. And your ignorance is how they make so much money. Because they don't debate. They don't get in debates. They don't even answer criticism. They don't need to. They have people who will defend them on their behalf. They have foot soldiers out here who, once they get a certain level of reputation, they can shut up. They can not say anything. They cannot even be on Twitter or Facebook or anything and just clam up and just be like, oh, well, I continue to do my business. And it is what it is. It's been like this forever. This is why the black community fucking sucks. This is why Detroit, Chicago, Baltimore, St. Louis, etc. always in the top of murder rates, despite the fact that we got so many loud Negroes out in front like Jesse Jackson and all of them. It doesn't change. Why doesn't it change? Because their job isn't to change it. They get paid off of it. So create a new hashtag. Create a new movement. It went from Rainbow Push to Black Lives Matter. It's all the same crap. You go up to corporations and different businesses and start demanding money. You might do a commercial for them. You might say that they're the good guys in your speech. Like, oh, these organizations, oh, they fund this group. And that's so good. There was a book that I read. I think I gave it away to a friend of mine who talked about organizations in, it was about music, the music industry. It was, I believe, the record company that Isaac Hayes was on. I forget what it was called. But his organization was operating, I believe, in Memphis. And Memphis is a mostly black city. And that organization was started by white guys. It was Stax Records. That's off the top of my head. Stax Records. And when Stax Records started to blow up, the community organizers started to show up and saying, Stax Records is a bunch of white people making money off black people. It's unfair. You need to do something for the community. So Stax Records started to fund barbecues and other social events. And the white people who looked at these black people, I don't know if it was Jesse Jackson, but it was maybe. Let's just say maybe it was Jesse Jackson, or maybe it was some people affiliated with Jesse Jackson, or maybe it was people who are who just think like Jesse Jackson. And it was the Jesse Jacksons of Memphis or whatever the hell. That turned them off. So white people stopped buying their records. It was the 1960s, 1970s version of Get Woke, Go Broke, which is not always true, by the way. People talk about Get Woke, Go Broke like it's an axiom. It's not. It doesn't always work. It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes people get woke and they make more money. And that's why companies do it. They're not doing this to lose money. You're not going to do this and lose billions of dollars. But this is what I mean. All of these people are making money off Black Lives Matter. I am not saying that they're stealing money from Black Lives Matter, but they're certainly using their positions in Black Lives Matter, in the Women's March and all this type of stuff to make money. That's why you have a proliferation of activists. There would not be so many activists if it didn't pay. They wouldn't keep telling people to be activists if there was not money in it. People respond to incentives. If they were really going to jail, getting the dog sicked on them like back in the day, you wouldn't have so many people. You wouldn't have so many of them today. But what you found is that these people they're business people. They can be talked to. They can be pulled into an office and say, hey, look, how can we get you to stop protesting in front of our building? Well, if you give me X amount of dollars, we'll stop. We'll go away. And then maybe from there, you could say, hire me to do trainings in your company. You got human resources, right? Train me to teach you about diversity and inclusion. It's, $400,000, but, whatever. How much is it? How much money will you lose if we shut your business down for 4 days? How much money would you lose if we shut it down for a week? If we shut it down for a month? If we told people not to go there anymore? That's the power of activism. That's why you get the big fist. And it's crazy that these people are like, we're trained Marxists. Because this is Marxism. It's Marxism for sure. But it is what it is, man. The question is, what are you going to do about it? That's the question. What are you going to do about it? And quite frankly, I don't know what you do. Well, thank you guys for listening. And I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.